I joined another education group, and a friend of mine, and I called her in tears one day, and I'm like going, I'm not able to pay my mortgage payment. My car payment is behind. The phone's going to get shut off. And my coach, we're not working well together. And guys, I admit this, that year sucked majorly. You know, realized that staying in my job was killing me because they're killing my patients, literally my clients. And so I quit my job and I called Ann in tears going, I don't know what else to do. I don't know where else to turn. I'm not doing this the way that I should be. Can you help me? And she said, let me connect you with Bob.
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. Welcome to Doors to Deals. I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning. Today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/011. And it's all about how a social worker in another life went on to buy 47 houses and generate over $500,000 in revenue on just one single package deal. Tonya is one of our 3 Doors deal makers here in St. Louis, where we provide additional one-on-one coaching and deal mentoring in exchange for a percentage profit on all of the deals that she does. She came to us with just 3 deals under her belt before this package deal happened. So here's the deal. If you are a brand new investor or a seasoned pro, Tonya's story is incredibly valuable, and especially when we do the deal deep dive where we bought these 47 houses and negotiated a $1.2 million contract down to, I think it was around $600,000. It was roughly a 50% price reduction from it when we initially had it under contract. So no more talk from me here, guys. Let's do this interview.
Let's get rocking and rolling. Hey, 3 Doors. Good morning, everybody. Have here my buddy, Tonya Winiger, fellow network partner. Say hi to everybody, Tonya.
Hi, everybody, Tonya.
Oh, that was very literal.
You're welcome.
So Tonya is one of my good buddies, and we've got to know each other for, have you been around like 18 months now or 2? Time flies. How long have you been? What's up?
Just about 18 months.
It's been about 18 months. And I joked a couple months ago, I was joking with her that she is the MGP, the most growth player or most growth partner in the network. What I have seen in you, Tonya, is inspirational from where you started and to where you are now. It has been truly amazing. So I am absolutely pumped up to kind of have you featured on this Doors to Deals training. So thank you so much for coming on board.
You're welcome.
Why don't you give a quick little background on your kind of like your professional start, like when you got out of school and like kind of like where you're at?
So I've known since I was 16 that I wanted to be a social worker. So when I graduated high school, a year later, after having a baby, I put myself through college, and I have a bachelor's in social work. I graduated in the early 2000s. So I've been a social worker for over 20 years. I got my Master of Arts in Counseling, and I still hold my license as a licensed professional counselor. And then I wanted to get into real estate, so I did. Is that... You want me to expound a little bit more there?
Yeah. Okay. So you had the background and you wanted to get into real estate, and you did. So let's talk about, let's dive a little bit deeper on that. Like, so the desire to get into real estate, like what need did you not have before? Like why?
So I'd always been presented, just throughout life of getting into real estate investing and, getting into fixing and flipping homes, and never really took off with it, never really thought much about it other than, oh, well, that kind of seems like a neat idea. Knowing then, had I known what I know now, I'm like, dude, 20 years ago, I would never have been a social worker. I always knew that there was something more. I always knew that there was something else out there. And then in 2015, my partner's dad gave him a game called Cash Flow, based on Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So we're like, cool, let's play this. played it once, just trying to figure out how it really works, getting out of the rat race. And then we played it again in January of 2016. And I said, Mama's got to be a slumlord. Baby, we're buying a duplex. So that year for my birthday, I decided I was buying a house because that's what I do for myself. I give myself birthday presents. So I went to my stepmom, who is a real estate agent, and I said, I need to buy a house. How do I do that? And I got hooked up with a mortgage broker and a mortgage lender. And so in April, we signed a contract, and May closed on my first investment property, which is my duplex, which I'm actually sitting in the driveway right now of that in my mobile office.
That's awesome. So you were able to, so the plan was, okay, you're going to work with your mom because she's already an agent. She knows how to run the numbers, and you're going to buy this duplex. So at this point, were you really more thinking, okay, I'm going to keep my job as a social worker and buy a couple rentals like over a period of time? Is that kind of what you were doing, or?
Yeah, the original intent was buy a duplex, live in one side and rent out the other side, get a little cash flow coming in, and then save up enough that I can then go buy and put down the 20% on a second duplex and snowball that, and then get a third duplex, kind of almost like one per year. At that time, I was going to keep my day job, night job, because I worked, midnight to noon to midnight. And I'm like, this is great. Just a little side money on the, living, somebody else is paying my mortgage essentially. And then I decided that the job that I was doing was just too stressful, and I wanted to scale back those hours. So I got a different part-time job and started working for the state of Missouri for the Department of Corrections. Stellar position there.
Okay.
And so I quit one job and I had the other part-time job, and that's when we started really getting serious about investing. And
okay, what year was this now at this point?
That was 2018.
Okay.
And in 2018, I'm like, we've really got to get serious about this. We really need to make this work. This needs to be a job. This needs to be the career, not just both of us going to the 9-to-5 gig.
Okay. Why did you have that desire now? Like, what do you think? Why?
I had that desire because I know that there's something else out there other than social work. I know that there's something else out there other than massage therapy. My daughter's an esthetician. There's something out there more than just being in the service industry to provide service to somebody else. That, one of my visions is to provide safe, stable, affordable housing to everybody. I have a soft spot for people who can't afford to live, in $300,000 house, $100,000 houses. I've been a single mom for 25 years. I want to make sure that the next set of parents have a safe, stable place to live. And now we've got to get serious about investing to be able to buy houses to be able to make that happen.
So you wanted to provide housing for single moms like you?
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome, Tonya.
Yeah.
That's why I love you so much. You're such a nice person.
So we went to this 3-day boot camp by people who shall not be named. But during that weekend, one of my business visions that I want to have is, the North County City Cooperative. So, I have a soft spot for drug addicts. I have a soft spot for single parents. I have a soft spot for women in domestic violence situations. And I want to be able to open a non-for-profit so that they can get the safe, stable, supportive housing that they need in an environment that's going to provide them with case management, in an environment that's going to help them set the foundation for the building blocks to succeed. I can't do that making, $18 an hour working for the state.
Yeah. So you really, okay. So at this point you're like, okay, well, it's time to step into the game, get into this full time so I can get to the vision of really helping people. I mean, you have the heart of service, being a social worker, but you wanted to help people at a higher level by being able to build out an investment career, really, an investment business. Okay, so you're trying to get into full time now. So like, what was happening when you tried to get in full time?
So we got a coach, and we were working with that coach for a while. Really instrumental. We started in April of 18, March of 18, and really just started getting going. And I had moved from a job where I was working 60 to 80 hours a week to a job where I was working 20, maybe 30 hours a week, and being able to put into the real estate, and just the place where I was in 2018 was just not, it wasn't as productive as it could have been, as it should have been. Mike was doing as good of a job as he could do, and I was just not being able to kind of get that momentum. They say you don't have to have any money when you start into real estate. Well, they're lying. You do have to have something. There's a lot of time, effort, energy, and you still have to be able to put forth for the marketing. And at that time, it was not as good of a success as it could have been. I got my first deal under contract. We started like in April. My first deal was under contract by May 5th, and we closed on June 6th. My goal was to have 3 closed in that time frame, and I had 1. I didn't know that that's not normal. People are like, oh, it usually takes 6 to 8 months. And I'm like, dude, I got 6 weeks. We got to work on that. Time frames, baby.
Well, and you had the big why too. You knew why you were doing it, and then you had you're behind the 8 ball a little bit because you didn't have that much money, that much savings. Okay. So you got your first deal under your belt. Was it a wholesale? Did you make money on it right away, or were you?
It was a wholesale, and the original goal was to come away with a nice size wholesale fee from it. We came out with a $2,000 wholesale fee, which was pretty decent compared to what it should have been. Meh. It was a major learning lesson. I mean, just really going through the whole process. I could have walked away with $10 and still thought I was a winner at that point.
Okay, so you're trying to get going. You're really struggling with just not even having that much savings. So the plan was to get 2 more closings. Were you able to do that quickly, or what happened?
No, so I had 3 properties under contract. So once I got the first property under contract pretty quickly in April, I had 2 more follow in quick succession by the middle of April, end of April, and learned a lot from them as well. He was an out of town buyer. He was actually in Canada, and he buys the notes, the foreclosure notes. Got him under contract. They were high priced. I had a hard time moving them, and just not knowing what I was doing at the time really was. It was really detrimental to the deal. And while I was on vacation that year in June, the 2 properties just fell apart. The contracts ended. It really left me devastated for several months trying to figure out how to make it happen. And
so do you think now that you're a little more seasoned, do you think you could have kept those deals together, or do you think they would have fallen apart? Because sometimes deals are just going to fall apart.
Sometimes deals are just going to fall apart, but I would have, knowing what I know now, I would not have touched those deals in the first place. I would have tried to force them to work.
So you're trying to force them to work, and then when they didn't work, you're devastated because, hey, you needed those 3 deals.
Yeah.
You don't have much savings. Okay, so walk me through that. So then you said you kind of spiraled for a couple of months. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I do a week-long camping trip every year where I go on vacation to basically do my job. And so I'm in the middle of nowhere with no cell phone reception. These deals are falling apart. I'm trying to back and forth call with everybody, and I'm trying to force these deals to work. They were crap to begin with, and I had, they were under contract for way too much money, and they needed way too much work. And just, I'm good with challenges. I'm really good with barriers because I like to figure out how to break them down. But these were the ones that made me realize at some point you just have to let them go. And don't get me wrong, I still try to make deals work. I'm just a lot. I'm more knowledgeable now on the front end to just not get them under contract in the first place. So
Okay. Okay. So you're a couple months like where you're just devastated. So what happened there, or what happened next? Yeah.
trying to find deals and they're falling through, analyzing things to the point of analysis paralysis, trying to figure out how to skip trace and do all of this all over again, and really just making it so much more harder than it should be, and losing out on a few deals in the process. And that when you change your mindset, when it's about just driving for the deal and trying to make something work and making sure to pay your bills, things were just not falling into place. They just really didn't pan out.
Okay. So how many months of this, of like kind of the dry spell, how long did this happen for?
So we closed in June with my first property, and it wasn't until November that I got another deal.
October, November. That's so 5 months. Okay.
5 months.
Okay, and then does that put you? When does like Three Doors and Bob? When do we kind of come into the picture then?
Bob actually came into the picture around July of 2018. I joined another education group, and a friend of mine, and I called her in tears one day, and I'm like going, I'm not able to pay my mortgage payment. My car payment is behind. The phone's going to get shut off. And my coach, we're not working well together. And guys, I admit this, that year sucked majorly. Realized that staying in my job was killing me because they're killing my patients, literally my clients. And so I quit my job, and I called Ann in tears going, I don't know what else to do. I don't know where else to turn. I'm not doing this the way that I should be. Can you help me? And she said, let me connect you with Bob. Let me talk to my good friend Bob. I think he can help you. And started working with Bob, started getting a little bit more traction, a little bit more understanding of, where to go, how to do things. And he also said, hey, I'm also working with Three Doors. So listen, we're going to get you back on track. And then you don't worry about anything. You just go find a property, make sure the deal's good, and we've got you. You don't have to worry about trying to fund the deal. You don't have to worry about who's going to buy the deal. You don't have to worry about advertising it. We're going to take care of everything. And for the next few months, things were still hard. Things were still difficult, trying to find the deal, make sure it was a good deal. But in November, I'm on the phone with my insurance agent's receptionist, and she's like, yeah, my brother needs to sell his house. And I got a deal. And I didn't have to worry about anything because I knew where I was going to go.
So you got the right. So in our case, really, you partnered with us. But regardless if it's us or not, like you got the right people around you. So Bob was really mentoring you, helping you focus on things, and then we had the bank, that the money to provide that. So you knew you didn't have to worry about that. Yeah. So you're able to just whittle down your focus into just simply hunting for deals.
Just finding the next deal, making sure that the numbers worked. And then when I got that deal and, I'm talking with the seller, we're negotiating how much do you need to walk away from this property? What do you need to walk away from? Why are things happening where they are? He actually came to the table with $30,000 to get himself out of this house that he was upside down on. And he couldn't sell it on the market because he'd already tried. It was a nice little house, but he couldn't get rid of it. And he and his wife had already moved into another house. And so working with Bob, he helped me negotiate some of the finer points of that deal. We got to closing, and it was rehabbed and it's sold for retail. So what he wanted.
So that's an interesting thing, because I know when I first started out, I can't speak for everybody, but when I first started out, I would have never dreamed that a seller would take $30,000 to the closing table. Like, so like when I start out, had I gotten that deal to that point, it would have been a dead deal. I would just said, okay, well, sorry, see you later. I wouldn't have had that higher level conversation with the homeowner. So do you think like having Bob in on that one to where he really sat down, he really kind of helped you ultimately with the negotiation? Like, do you think you would be able to pull that deal together on your own or
No,
not?
no. So when we talk about limiting beliefs, I mean, yeah, he owed $60,000 on the house. It was worth maybe about 30, 35, and he couldn't sell it. I would have been like, man, this really sucks. You're going to have to go into foreclosure or something. I would not have thought to have said, hey, can you bring 30 grand to the table? He needs out of the house. I was already thinking he doesn't even have 30 grand to begin with. But through Bob and saying, ask him, can he bring anything to the table? How much can he bring? So now I'm like, okay, it's in my toolbox. I can ask it. And now I kind of do on a lot of conversations.
So when I think like it's like, to use an analogy here, guys, like on like a stoplight, like there's a red light and a green light, right? Like I think when you start out new, the second an objection or the second an obstacle comes up, you go like, red light, this is a dead deal, I'm on to the next one. And then you think, oh, there are no deals out there. Well, you just had your hands on a deal. You just went red light too quickly. Like you didn't explore all the options and all the avenues that you can to do a deal. And the quickest, easiest way to be able to do that, guys, is when you get to that obstacle. And it doesn't, so Bob was a buyer on our Three Doors properties team that Ryan and Bob were running. It doesn't have to be Bob, but like if you get to that obstacle, if you have somebody that you know, like, and trust, that's an experienced person, rather than just say dead deal, try and bring somebody in on the scenario, because then you'll even learn, how do they think? What other options do they go down? Like is this a deal or not? And like David Onanian told the story about how he made $80,000 on a deal, and that one ran into obstacles too. They had to renegotiate the initial purchase price, and they had to get the price down. And they were able to do that through a collaboration with him and Kyle. So tangent over. Let's get back to Tonya's story. I wanted to pull that out. Okay, so you're able to make that happen, and okay, so you got your first deal, made $2,000. You had the dry spell. Bob was instrumental on having that and it hit on that. So how did that feel when you got to that deal?
Ecstatic wasn't even the right word, right? Like relief. And you're just like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I did something right, in the last few months of really just doing nothing and things not working, and that cloud of just, failure, then pulling a deal off and being all like, it's kind of one of those, like, you just literally jumped a hurdle, and you can't even step over a curb without falling over. Now you just literally jumped a hurdle, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I got this. I can do this. This is doable now, and it gave me a level of confidence that I hadn't had like ever doing real estate. I mean, I know it by this point. I'd been doing it like 8 months. 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, by that point it was like relief.
So you went out and started hunting again, right?
Yeah. So I say,
well, you were hunting the whole time, I guess, right? So,
yeah, I've been hunting the whole time, but like,
so you got that deal, you hit on that deal. So now what's happening outside of that deal?
So now what's happening outside of that deal is I'm actually paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm actually looking at the deals and weighing the options, and then going, yeah, okay, I think we can do this. Or yeah, pardon me, guys, my nose is running. It's cold in here. Yes, we can do the deal, and I've got backup, so I know how to make this happen. And at the time, I'm on Facebook a lot. I'm on Craigslist. Doing all of those things that, in order to get started, kind of ripping out the foundation and laying it better again, building the walkway now that I know more, and now that I know better how to do it. So
So then so take me forward to the next couple deals or what was going on.
So after that, after the November deal with my real estate agent's or my insurance agent's brother, that's when November happened. And so I'm on Facebook, scrolling through Facebook, one of my various St. Louis investors group, and this real estate agent comes on and says, "Hey, I've got a 47 pack. Who wants it? I'll take it." And I remember feeling, oops, sorry guys. I remember feeling kind of cocky at the time because I'm like, heck yeah, I can do this. This is going to be a no-brainer. This is whatever, One, I got it. I can wholesale it to 3 doors. I'll be all like, no problem, And then 2, I'm like, if I can't wholesale it to 3 doors, they can just buy it and it's not going to be a problem. I got this. Yeah, I mean, it was literally almost that comical. And she goes, "Okay, cool. I've got 2 other investors that are interested. I'll call you back." Okay. Didn't hear from her for a month.
So the dreaded "I'll call you back." Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what did you follow up with her then?
I followed up with her and she's like, "Yeah, I've got these other 2 investors and they want to break the package up and they're taking a look at it." And I said, "I don't want to break it up. I want to buy all 47 of them. I want the entire thing. So if that makes a difference with who gets first priority, I want everything." And so she's like, "Well, I'll still call you back because these other 2 are interested." And so it was December when she called me back, and then that'll be my 3rd deal is the 47 pack. But that's what got me to 47 houses in one fell swoop.
Okay, so let's do a deep dive into this.
Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to doorstodeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already 3 Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount. That's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the 3 Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest.
Okay, so let's do a deep dive into this, like as far as like a case study goes on this package, because packages obviously can be really lucrative. Buying 47 at once, you hit on it with the right numbers. I mean, that's potentially a career-making deal, right? So talk about, okay, so like you finally got a hold of her. They are interested in selling it again because she doesn't have it with these other people. That did they back out of? Did they have it under contract and they backed out?
Yeah, so they put it under contract, and so from their end, they put it under contract. They'd been under contract for not quite a full 30 days. The 2 investors had split the package up, one in half, and then they were cherry picking out of their halves that they wanted. And then about 3 weeks in, they couldn't perform. They, for whatever reason, I don't know how much they got it under contract for, but their deal fell through. So she calls me and she's like, "Okay, hey,
hey, really quick, how many times did you follow up with this person while the deal was going on?"
Once.
So you did follow up once. Okay.
Yeah.
Just follow-up's key, guys. Like they may, like, it's possible that she would have called Tonya, wanted to call Tonya, had fallen through, and then just forgot who Tonya was. People are busy. It's hard to even remember what you did yesterday sometimes. So the follow-up call, that might have been the most lucrative follow-up call you've ever made in your life, because that created top of mind. So then she called you.
Well, let me rephrase it twice then, because so I Facebook messaged her, and then I called her. So twice. So
Okay.
I always forget about the fact that texting can be a follow-up. But yeah, I just checked in with her to see how things were going, and then called her and was like, hey, just FYI, still around. Do you have any other packages? And that's when a week later she called me back and said, hey, the first two guys couldn't perform. What do you think?
I would be now obviously we would have to ask her, but I would be stunned if you would have gotten that phone call had you not done that follow-up. If she
Knowing
would
what
have
I know now, yes, you're right.
from 2 months prior, was it 2 months prior? I think that's what you said, from
No, 1
November
month.
to December, or from 1 month even. For them to remember that is most agents or salespeople, and they are not detail oriented. For her to remember that, that's a really high bar to get to. Anyway, okay. So you get the phone call. So walk me through the logistics of, okay, we have this deal. They want to sell it. Walk me through the logistics and the process that you went through on this package deal.
So aside from hyperventilating when she called me back and said, yes, we'll be happy to sell to you. And I'm like, okay, great. Sure. All right, fabulous. What's their asking price? Can you send me any information? Meanwhile, my partner's over here going, dude, if we wholesale that to 3 doors at $5,000 a property, I'm like, shh, like, not mess with my head at the moment. Okay, I'm good right now. Yes, that was I do talk like that, but I'm like, you know what? Just forget about it. Let's just work with 3 doors. Make sure this happens. Bob, Crystal just called me back and said they want $1.9 million for 47 properties, and he's all like, okay. And I'm like, well, I've like 2 weeks ago, I was spending time like calculating ARVs and repair costs, and like, can we do this? He goes, I don't know. So like 30 minutes later, I'm meeting him at the Bread Co. and we're pounding things out on the computer, trying to figure out like, what would be a good offer to make. And an hour and a half later.
Okay, so hold on. Let's slow down a little bit. So you had a spreadsheet with all the addresses of the properties.
Yes, she sent me the spreadsheet with 47 properties, what they're asking.
Did it have like beds, baths, square feet on it too?
Beds, baths, square feet, and what they were asking, and then also some possible repairs.
Okay, and then so you took that data, and then when you said pounding away at the spreadsheet, what were you doing?
So I don't have the spreadsheet here on my computer because it's on the other one. But basically what we had to do was take her PDF spreadsheet, translate that into an actual Excel spreadsheet. And then Bob has this amazing spreadsheet, like all sorted out so that you can look at ARVs and the percentages of, what that translates into after repair costs and the cap rates, market rent versus actual rent. So like it really broke things down into, given the state of the property at the moment, is it rentable? Is it livable? Is it retail quality, or is it under rented so that if we fixed it up and took it turnkey, would it perform at market rent?
So you just started researching. So you had the data, right? And then the data points that you're looking for was rent compared to what market rent is on each property.
Well, and that's actually even a little bit further down.
Okay. Oh yeah. Keep going then. Okay.
Yeah. So we were sitting there at the bread company in Sunset Hills, and just looking at general ARV of these properties and where they were, and the biggest majority of them were in North County. We had a good handful in North City, and then a few in South City. And so we're just kind of looking at these like ARV. Can we even make an offer? We knew that $1.9 million for 47 properties, given where they were, was not going to be it. So, this was like 11 o'clock in the morning, and, Bob's back and forth on the phone with Ryan. I'm pounding away trying to figure and calculate ARVs. And we come up with a number of 1.325. So called Crystal back, and I'm like, listen, we can go in at 1.3 million. And meanwhile, guys, I got to tell you that when you talk about, so I'm going to use some foul language here. When you talk about somebody ready to shit their pants, Mama needed a case of diapers. Okay. I'm not even kidding you. This is my third deal in my entire career of real estate investing. And I'm over here negotiating a $1.9 million offer for 47 houses. So we get it under contract for $1,325,000, and meanwhile I'm over here like, somebody turn on the heat. It's December 18th. Okay, it was a little chilly outside. I'm running around in a tank top and flip flops because we just did a $1.3 million deal. So. And guys, when I say we're negotiating 47 houses with this real estate agent, we're going back and forth with the real estate agent, 3 trustees, and a judge. So, if you guys have never heard me tell the story of the Bink pack, find me someday. I got lots of juice on this thing. It's not pretty by any stretch. So that's when we fully started, like, okay, we've got it under contract. We're a couple of days before Christmas. We gave ourselves a 45-day inspection period, which gave us till January 30th. That's when we started really taking a hard look at everything that was in this package and everything.
So the contingency was inspection period. Okay, 45 days. Was it a standard contingency? Did you write anything in there special because of the 47 pack, or was it just
we had to keep making amendments just because of the sheer scope of work that was required to take a look at everything that we were going to be looking at. So we've got some massive time crunches between the 18th of December and January 1st, like 17 holidays. And then after that, coordinating with the real estate agent, there's 47 houses, of which we were told 37 were occupied. Once we started diving into everything, we found out that less than 30 of them were occupied, and less than 25 of them actually were, 20 of the 30 were livable conditions. So, we've got to coordinate between the agent and the 3 trustees and, 27 occupants, 27 residents of houses. And on top of that, Bob still has his buy duties with 3 doors, and he's got family commitments. So what we ended up looking at is, a 4 to 5 hour time period in January where we can actually get out to these houses, take pictures, get a good look at them, and start really diving in like we would normally do on an individual basis per house.
Okay, so you were, it took you 45 days to really get into all 47 properties by the time you dealt with the tenants getting you in and everything like that. Yeah. You did a normal walkthrough just like you would on just buying an individual house. You took the pictures like what we believe you guys should be doing. And then you did the estimator too, where you actually filled out the estimator on all 47 houses.
Every single house. So I really wanted to make sure that, Bob was like, hey, why don't we get some of the guys in the office to come help us out? And I'm like, okay, that's great. But, I'm a little selfish, right? Not just financially because, but I'm like, no, this is my first package, right? This is my first more than just one deal. And I want to walk every single one of these houses. I really want to know what is going on with each of these houses. It's not just about the money. This was about the learning experience. This was about just understanding how this actually works. Knowing what I know now, next time I'm calling on Kenton and Dave, being all like, "Oh, slice, y'all want to take 10 houses each?"
Because it's a lot of work. Yeah. Okay, so you did the estimators. Okay, so then what happened when you ran all the numbers? How did that 1.3 look after you actually went through on property by property, got hard numbers on them?
So it was absolutely abysmal. I mean, just the when you want to talk about slumlords and having really crappy houses and putting a tenant in there, and not just a tenant but babies, like 8-year-olds, infants in some of these houses we were going into, like I had no idea how they've not been condemned and how they're not torn down by now. One of the houses, I could literally move the drywall and stick my hand out from underneath her window and shake somebody's hand outside. That's what they considered patching a wall. So we're looking at all of these numbers, and honestly, if I'd have paid $130,000 for all 47 of these houses, it would have been too much. But Ryan and Bob and I going through the repair estimators back and forth, looking at the houses, just the sheer scope of work that it was going to take, we finally arrived at an offer that was just less than half of what we went under contract for.
Ooh. Okay, so 1.3 under, and then so 650.
It actually turned out to be $625,000.
Okay, so hold on a second though. Okay, so you talked about how uncomfortable you were initially with the 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
And now you ran all the numbers, and you know that we have to come back in at 600-ish for an offer to renegotiate the purchase price.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
Scared. I mean, scared is about the only word. Guilty. Sad. A lot sad, because I'm like, we went in at $1.3 million. We were told 37 houses were occupied. 10 of them were just needing a little bit of work to get them up to speed. And then, and I'm like, man, like, I feel like the trustees, I feel like they're getting ripped off for the fourth time, because this, I wanted to pay $1.3 million. Once I got over the fact that, I'm making $1 million offer on these houses, the sad thing is they just weren't worth it. And that's the part that made me just cry at times during this entire process, is that we have to pay something for these properties, and they just are in such horrible shape that, yeah, one of the houses even burned down. One of the tenants burnt the house down.
Oh, and like they didn't even realize it? Like the trustees didn't even know, or did they actually know?
They knew a couple of days after the fact, when they got the police report from the fact that it burned down.
Okay, so walk me through. So obviously we're telling the story because we did get it under at the lower price. They ended up adjusting the price. So walk me through that negotiation of 1.3 to 625. Like, I mean, you didn't just go in and just say, hey, well, we need to be at 625 verbally, right?
No,
so
I didn't do that. So
so how'd you do that? How'd you pull this off?
After we went through the first 5 or 8 houses, so the first 3 or 4 days really of getting into the properties and seeing where they're at, I called her up and I'm like, Crystal, I got to tell you, I don't know if you know this, and by this point I had just become, did I just become a real estate? No, I wasn't even a real estate agent yet. And then, so I didn't even know all of the rules about, I had just become a real estate agent. So, but I still wasn't sure about all of the rules on what I'm allowed to tell the other agent and what they're supposed to know, because if they know things, then they've got to disclose it and they've got to take care of stuff. So I'm on the phone with her several times a day going, Crystal, I'm going to send you the pictures of these properties. I don't think your trustees understand just exactly how bad this situation is. I'm walking into properties that, are broken. Like literally there's no wall there. The roofs are caved in, the windows are plexiglass, and the stories that I could tell about, Section 8 tenants are $10,000 behind in their Section 8 rent. because the property manager would go in and
Yeah, that should never
stamp them
happen.
for
Yeah.
cash. And I'm like, Crystal, these houses are they're in such bad condition. And I started sending her the pictures and sharing with her what it is that I'm seeing. And she's having to go back to the trustees and explain to them that not only were they taken advantage of 10 years ago, and the reason that they're in this situation is sitting in federal prison for the rest of his life, but now people are trying to buy these properties, and this is why it's not going well. And so by the end of February, because this is going on for weeks. We spent the entire month of January visiting all 47 properties, looking at the repair estimates, sending her pictures of piles of dirt. And so she's been prepping the trustees for the fact that we're going to come in with an extremely low counter.
Okay, and this is important, guys. So I want you to think about from an emotional standpoint from the homeowner's perspective here, okay? It's like if you're hopping, think about it like if you're going swimming and the water's cold and you don't really want to hop in but you need to. And the difference between jumping in head first and putting your toe in the water and then your ankle and then your knee and then your waist, and then kind of slowly getting in. From an emotional standpoint, it was kind of the same thing what Tonya and Bob were doing. It was sending pictures right away. It wasn't going out and looking at all 47 and then just throwing this at them, just taking the homeowner and throwing them into the cold water. It was preparing them for, hey, this is what's going on, a little bit at a time. So then by the time the offer came through, they emotionally they were prepared and they knew what was coming. So that I think is a mistake that that when we as humans we want to be efficient and we want to like work really quickly on things. Make sure you're taking advantage, or you're taking advantage. Advantage is the wrong word. I misspoke there, but make sure you're being aware of the emotions of the other person and you're leading them properly. You're not just throwing them in there. Okay, so now they know what's coming because you've really prepared them for weeks now of sending them this stuff, and you have the data of what they thought, and then now you have your data of like what the actuality is. Okay, so Did you do this all over the phone? Did you set up a meeting in person? Like what happened?
So Crystal and I met sporadically throughout the January process and the February process to look at numbers, get keys, take a look at pictures, and prepare them. And then in February, they had to sit down to a trustees meeting with the 3 trustees, their lawyers, the judge, and really try to figure things out. And then they had to have a meeting where I gave her everything that we had, right? So she's looking at these numbers, and I even offered to be at the trustees meeting to be able to explain, not so much to try to convince them to take our offer at 600, but so much to help them understand this is why the numbers look like they do. And I was available for questions for when they had questions as to, why are they under rented? How did they
So
get?
you were at that meeting?
I was not at that meeting.
So the agent said no, that she wanted to talk. Okay.
Right. Yeah. They didn't feel comfortable with me at that meeting because I'm on the buyer side. And of course I'm going to make things look bad. Except for the fact that I didn't have to. The pictures and the numbers literally spoke for themselves. But I knew how traumatic this was for the trustees, because when I found out that the trustees, so this package is a victim's package. The reason this came about was because somebody took advantage of knowledgeable, seasoned real estate investors, and he stole their money, and now he's in jail. So they have to sell his properties to get their money back. So these are 3 real live victims of a
fraud.
crime.
Yeah.
and they were taken advantage of, they were stolen from, and now they have to sell the properties to recoup their money. So they are personally involved in the fact that I'm over here saying that their investment is worth half of what we had it under contract for, which is about a third, maybe, of what they originally thought the value was. They originally thought the value was like $1.9 million, and we're coming in at 600,000. So
so you're able to emotionally prepare them, and then dealing with the emotions is the hardest part. A lot of times when you start out, you think the X's and O's of okay, how do I write the offer? But I mean the emotions. So like we had to get, and you had to get these people that are victims that are dealing with this situation to start thinking logically about the property. And you did that really with the pictures and the data behind it. And really a lot of communications with the agents and a lot of okay.
The agent and I were on the phone, if not once a day, 5 times a day. And there was, aside from a Saturday or a Sunday, there was not a day that went by that we weren't on the phone talking to each other for a half an hour, trying to figure something out, or texting back and forth and emailing, getting everything just ready for the next phase.
How valuable was having quality rapport with that agent?
Invaluable. I mean, she was so instrumental. I mean, she'd spent over 6 months on this project before she even announced it to any of her buyers or any of her other agents or on the investors list. This took over a year of her life. And to not acknowledge that, one, is wrong, and two, to not thank her for all of the service that she had put in to that point, and then, pardon me, keep her in the loop with everything. Like, I still text her every so often, and I'm like, hey, when are we hanging out again? Or, hey, I literally work up the street from you. Why don't we meet for lunch? Like, it was so instrumental, and she just put so much into that project. It was not even, she still hasn't been compensated for it.
At all? Oh, enough. Okay.
Well, I mean, she got her payday at the end of the day too, right? But it was not enough.
That's nothing compared to what it should have been. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anyone has any questions on this, please chat away. Make sure that we're kind of winding down on the story. And I wanted to, so please chat away. I think Alt-C will chat. Or Alt-H if you're a keyboard shortcut guy, a nerd like me. Alt-H will be able to send a chat message. So let's go back. Okay, so let's go back. Let's tie back to your story as we have just a couple more minutes here. So you're able to make the 47 pack. So you went from 0 deals. You got your first. You had the dry spell. Then you got a couple more. You got 2 more. Kind of working with 3 Doors and Bob. And then we hit on this 47 pack. So what's like the revelation, like looking back at your entrepreneurial journey up to this point? Like what's the kind of like the big aha, the big takeaway that you have having gone through this the last 18 months?
So one, they always tell you keep your day job. Keep your damn day job. All right. Just whatever you got to do, keep it. All right. It makes things so much, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, but yeah, still keep it. Becoming a real estate agent, going ahead and taking the class, and gave me a lot of education and perspective to be able to figure some of the things out and have access to that credibility, which I think was lacking. I'm a big person on credibility. So, well, on my side of things, for you, if you're a stand-up person, it's great. For me, I needed that behind my name. When Bob said 3 Doors has you, 3 Doors has your back, don't worry about it. It's all good. And we started working a heck of a lot closer together and trying to figure things out. So here's one of the fun things. I always knew that at some point I would be involved with 3 Doors as some kind of, I guess the word affiliate So when I first started in real estate, I went to a Faster House Buyers Club out in St. Charles. I went to one of their meetings, and that was one of the meetings where Ryan was up on stage with a panel of a couple of other seasoned investors. And I was like, oh, I got to go talk to that guy. I have some questions for him. Got his card, and just literally like 90 seconds of standing there with him, and I'm like, I'm going to work with you guys someday. All right, this is great. And then, and then like less than a year later, hey, guess what? I met you, and now I'm your buyer. So, I think I love fate, and I love how it all just ties everything in together. And throughout this, I would not have been able to do what I've done had Bob and Three Doors not come along. And then becoming an acquisitions manager for Three Doors has allowed me to, just the mentoring for the last year, just absolutely. I know I've drank the Kool-Aid, but that's okay. I love it. I'm totally order.
We do not pay her to say that.
No, they don't. I have a desk there, and I'm there most days, and it's allowed me to do so many deals that I haven't done all that many, but apparently I've done enough, and I like it. It's great.
No, you've done amazing. So I think like the biggest thing for me, guys, and this isn't just like a Three Doors plug or pitch. Like I don't want it to be misconstrued as that, like, because the reality is there's other experienced people in the network. There's other experienced people all over. The reality to me is that, and I talk about this more at length in the web class that I do Thursdays at 4, but we grow up thinking that knowledge is powerful and that we have to learn everything. So when you start out investing, you think kind of the same way, like, oh, I have to learn how to raise private money. I have to learn how to work with contractors. I have to learn all of this stuff. And that gets really overwhelming. When Tonya finally said, no, okay, I have the right relationship in place. They can take care of some of these elements I don't have figured out yet. And I can just focus on this one thing of hunting for deals, finding deals, and getting them under contract. And that took the weight off. Like that to me is like kind of like when you started to really kind of get into that next level, because then you're able to concentrate and get good at that one thing. So like the relationships are more powerful. Knowledge is important. Knowledge is powerful, and you don't have to know everything. In Tonya's case, she needed to learn how to hunt and then go out and do it. So, so keep that in mind, guys, that the people around you are so critically important. All right, guys. Well, this was Tonya. You are amazing. So you are literally, you inspire me every day. I appreciate having you around. Thank you so much for sharing this story. 47 deals when you'd only had 3 deals under. So that got you to 50 pretty darn quickly. And really the last thing, and this will show you guys how big of a nerd I am, but Oprah Winfrey. Why I was listening to Oprah, or I have no idea why, but Oprah. There's a quote that resonated from me, like if someone else can do it, I can do it too. And if Tonya Winokur can buy 47 houses in one spell when she'd only had 3 deals under her belt, you guys can do too. There's no reason why you guys can't succeed at this. If Tonya can do it, you guys can do it. So appreciate you guys. So again, Thursday, we are doing the vision with Sean McCloskey's running a vision workshop. That was one of the most important things I possibly have ever done for my personal business. If you guys are able to make that, Julie chatted over that's at 12 o'clock tomorrow. You should have an email about that event if you're able to make the web class. And then Friday, we are having a vendor lunch. I'm going to send a text message to you guys. We need a like an RSVP head count, because we're going to get food for everybody. So we need to do that. And we of course didn't have a page set up to RSVP for like an Eventbrite or anything like that. So Friday, looking forward to that as well. Tonya, thank you so much. This has been really valuable. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So for this particular show and access to the YouTube video, go to doorstodeals.com/011. Again, that's doorstodeals.com/011. So go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Take care until next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.